Hi guys, David12797 here. Today I'm going to show you just a very quick video of my sim setup and how I've done it on a bit of a budget. You don't need to spend a lot of money to have a half decent budget kind of setup. Obviously not the most comfortable compared to probably some proper sim rigs, but definitely much cheaper. So I'll just show you now. I found out just before this video that iPhones don't actually let you flip the camera while in the middle of one video. As you can see here, this is my sim setup, and we're going to ignore the cable management today because I've done it on my work desk, which is on the left there. I haven't actually put the time into cable managing the sim setup. So what I've got there is obviously the G29, which I bought secondhand from Facebook Marketplace. I got that for about $250, so I definitely recommend if you're wanting to try sim racing, you're not sure if you're going to be into it, go look secondhand because that's probably the best place to start. Some of these wheels are $500 brand new, and I'm talking Australian dollars. I don't know the conversion for wherever you are, but in Australia, I think this wheel's $450 new. I paid $250. So I bought that wheel, and then I bought what is sitting under the desk, and I'm going to pop up some photos probably here, but I did buy, as you can see, that is a frame from eBay. So this section down to here where you can see some metal slides in, that is about an $80 frame that is pretty standard from eBay that you normally would use at your desk. I have then adapted a seat. Now this is a Secretlab chair, which obviously Secretlab chairs are expensive. I ended up with a second chair through a recall and paid a bit of money to get a second base. So that was just sheer chance. But originally, and I'll throw up some photos, I did have a very basic office chair on this, and then I changed to the Secretlab. I do kind of regret that. The office chair was much comfier. I think it's to do with seat position, but something I'm working on and a modification I probably need to make. So wheel is then on a very basic $80 base. Now that base was not able to go as low as it currently is. I modified that. Now I'm by no means a handyman. I am pretty non-handy, to be honest. So when I started this kind of project to set up my own sim setup, I bought the wheel and then I bought the frame. And then I got thinking about, okay, how can I put this all together? And not being that handy, I just kind of dived in. I bought the metal from the local hardware store in Australia, which is called Bunnings. Those two black beams that you see there and there, I think they're 1 meter. They cost me about, all up, metal was probably about $60 to $80 or something. I then measured, drilled, measured wrong, had to go and buy more metal, which is the metal I had to rebuy, which is this little silver bit here that runs along the base of the chair. I had to redo those on the first chair. I eventually got it kind of together. It was wonky. It wasn't perfect, but I did get it together and it was enough to use. The table that's sitting on, that's another Facebook Marketplace buy. That cost me $10. So I just needed something to sit it on. The monitors, obviously ignoring the right one, that one is mainly there and used for streaming. I actually didn't have that there prior to starting to stream when I just played this for fun and for myself. I think on a few streams that I did, obviously I wasn't looking at any comments. I was just streaming and kind of talking. The comments used to come up on the PS5 stream. So one monitor is probably fine. I'm just using a very old ThinkVision monitor. I got it through work because I work from home, and I've changed my setup, my work desk quite a few times. So it was a spare, but I have a monitor as well that I was using prior to this one that it didn't have a height adjuster. And so that's why I ended up using these ones, because I can actually adjust the height a little bit. Even so, this one probably needs to go a bit higher because I can't actually see over the wheel sometimes. That's why you'll probably see me sometimes use the bumper cam to see the gears and the rev gauge. I can't see them that well once I'm sitting in the chair. There is a cushion there because for comfort, I am kind of a bit far away, and once you sit the chair up, it becomes rather uncomfortable. MacBook Air M2 is down there. That is obviously set up and connected to the second screen. But yeah, so I've kind of adapted it, and the way I guess built this, and I'm going to hopefully be able to do this. Now the way this goes together, as you can see, I've removed the chair and laid it down. That has come out, the two metal beams that I've bought just slide out, and you can slide them based on your height. That's the metal frame with the wheel and pedals just straight from eBay. I did have to modify it to be lower, so if I can show you, you'll see this adjustment bolt. I drilled that hole. That hole is normally not there. There are some lower ones down here, but they were too low, so I had to drill my own holes. And as you can see under here, this metal frame just is bolted straight to the chair. About 10 different washers squished in there, but it's on solid, it doesn't move. Now, when I am streaming, you probably see I am usually wearing the headset. That's primarily because microphones and I need to talk. Sometimes I do have, and this is part of the cable mess. Down there you can see a sub and a speaker just there. That is the Z623, I think it is 623. Speaker system that I actually unboxed on this channel probably about 12 years ago. I was using that mainly when I would play, but once again, when I'm streaming, I can't do that. You could, if you're wanting to set up your own setup, you know, if you buy a wheel, buy a base, you know, some metal, this could be a very basic office chair. You don't have to spend lots of money on the chair. Like I said, I found the office chair was actually more comfortable than the Secretlab. Speaker system, I mean, if you're using an old TV, that's going to cover you. Otherwise, you could get a different PS5 style gaming headset. You can generally get them for about $100. You don't have to spend lots of money. So when I kind of tallied it all up, and I did tally it all up, the wheel cost me about $250. The desk cost me $10. The frame, which is the eBay frame, cost me $80. The headset, now I obviously have the PS5 headset. You don't have to have the PS5 headset, so I put down $100 for that because I could see you can get some for about $50 to $80, somewhere around that 100. So I just went with the $100 mark to get a probably half decent one. All the metal that I bought was probably about $60, maybe a bit more, because I did, when I rebuilt the seat, buy new metal. I could have reused it, but I didn't. The seat itself, any office chair, if you're a little bit handy, you can adapt it. Most of them have bolts on the bottom because they have to have that the gas lift frame bolted to them, and you can use the bolts that come from that. So I have reused the bolts that on both chairs, the Secretlab and the chair I used before, and all I did was adapt the metal around it and just essentially it's like bolting on the gas lift. And then obviously a monitor or a TV. Now, you might have a spare TV, you might have a spare monitor. I'm obviously not factoring in the PS5. I'm going to assume you already have that. I'm not factoring in the second screen because that's mainly for streaming, or the PS5 camera. Mainly just the things of if you're wanting to get started on a sim rig. Now, it's perfectly fun, perfectly drivable. There are some things I would change. There are some things I will slowly change. One of them is probably that I notice more so now that I'm on the Secretlab chair is it's very low. It is hard to get in and out of. The chair probably needs to be a bit higher than the pedals. Even though some sim rigs put the pedals higher, I find for comfort, I would prefer the seat to probably be just that little bit higher. I could probably chalk it up with more metal or wood even, if I wanted to make it even cheaper. But I'm getting to the point where I feel like if I was going to spend significantly more on the setup, it might be a bit cheaper for me to build or actually buy a proper, somewhat cheaper sim rig or something, or cockpit to sit in that would be more comfortable. But if you're just starting out and you want something, you know, I've worked out this would be all up $600 to $700, and that's including, you know, the desk, the wheel, the frame, the chair, the metal, everything, a monitor, a TV. You might already have some of this stuff that you can throw together. You know, I built mine out of metal. You could build yours out of wood. Wood is obviously much cheaper. It just doesn't look as good. But if it's something you're only going to use once every few months, then that's perfectly fine. And that's how I started. I didn't use it twice a week like I do at the moment for 6 hours a week. I used it pretty seldom. I used it when I could. I only had one PS5 then. I now have two, primarily for the fact that the living room, it's a Netflix box and used for sometimes Blu-rays and sometimes gaming out there, and I wanted one. I didn't want to keep having to turn on and turn off a PS5 and do all that. Obviously the things I would fix is, I'd make it higher. I could, I could buy a new wheel, I could buy a new cockpit and buy a new TV, but as you know, once you start factoring in a direct drive wheel and more higher end stuff, you're getting into around that $2,500 to $3,000 mark of cost, and it's a bit hard to justify that when this is just, if it's just a hobby you're only going to do every so often or maybe on the weekend. So yeah, that is my very quick video on my very simple sim setup. How I started it was just a very fun activity. I wanted to use it every now and again. Obviously I've started streaming and started doing it every Tuesday and Thursday for 3 hours, where permitting, given I have a 1-month-old, and it works for me. It's not the most comfortable in the world, but it works, and I'm able to have some fun, drive around, you know, try different games. But yeah, if you're wanting to get into sim racing, it's not that expensive. Obviously wheels are the main thing. Once you buy a wheel, you know, you can stick it to your desk and have some fun at your desk and then put it away. And if you find you're doing it quite often, well then it's not much of a step up to pay $80 and get the frame. Then you've got the frame to pull out, makes it a bit easier. And then as you go, do it slowly. You don't have to dive right in and spend $3,000 on a setup. But if you did like this video, please be sure to click that like button, subscribe, and I'm usually on stream around 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Tuesday and Thursdays, and that's Australian Eastern Time or Sydney time to keep it simple. All right, see yous.